We're here to talk about chords. What is a chord? At some level, a chord is a group of notes that are played at the same time. But not all groups of notes played at the same time are chords. That's not a chord. If I'm listening to Stevie Wonder in this room, and my son is listening to Frozen 2 in the next room, and I hear both songs at the same time, the notes that I hear together are not a chord. So what is really a chord? A chord is a group of notes that we can somehow conceive of as a single unified musical object. Something that could be played at the same time, but even isn't necessarily played at the same time. In this example from the Commodore's song Brick House,
House is a brick house. She's mighty, mighty.
you've got a whole lot of different parts moving here, a whole lot of different notes being played at the same time. But at no moment in this 2-bar funk riff do you have A, C, and E played at the same time. That is the chord that we hear underneath all of this. That's an A minor chord. The relationship between chords and actual music is really interesting, and it's something that a lot of people spend their entire careers studying. In this video, we're just going to look at the basic 3-note chords found in tonal music. These are called triads. So generally, to be a chord, you need to have at least 3 different notes. Triads are the basic tonal chord that have 3 notes. Triads contain a root and then 2 other notes stacked in thirds on top of this root. For example, if C is the root of a triad, we could stack an E on top of the C, where E is a third above C, and then we could stack a G on top of that. So we get C, E, G. In this chord, the E is called the third of the chord and the G is called the fifth of the chord, since the G is a fifth above the root. All triads have a root, third, and fifth. And here are a few other triads. We can divide triads into different types based on the specific intervals among the notes. The triad type with a major third and perfect fifth above the root is called a major triad. CEG is a C major triad, since E is a major third above C, and G is a perfect fifth above C. Here are some more major triads. Notice that in major triads, all intervals above the root are consonances. You've got a major third, and then a perfect fifth, and then there's also a minor third between the third and the fifth. There's one other type of consonant triad that also has this feature. That's called the minor triad. A minor triad has a minor third and a perfect fifth above the root. So a C minor triad would have C, E flat, and G. An F minor triad would have F, A flat, and C. And an A minor triad would have A, C natural, and E. Notice how I've written these in lead sheet notation. This is the root of the chord followed by a lowercase m. This is how we indicate minor triads in lead sheet notation. There are also 2 dissonant triad types. The diminished triad has a minor third and a diminished fifth above the root. So C diminished would have a C, an E flat, and a G flat. And we write that in lead sheet notation with a little circle after the root. An F diminished triad would have an F, A flat, and C flat. And an A diminished triad would have A, C, and E flat. Finally, we have the augmented triad, which has a major third and an augmented fifth above the root. So a C augmented triad would have C, E, and G sharp. we write this with the root and then a little plus sign in lead sheet notation. An F augmented triad would have F, A, and C sharp. An A augmented triad would have A, C sharp, and E sharp. One thing you might notice about the F augmented triad and the A augmented triad is that they are actually enharmonically equivalent. The F and E sharp are enharmonically equivalent notes. So even though these are spelled differently, they actually have the same 3 pitch classes when you play them on a piano. That's because the major third divides an octave into 3 equal intervals. Let's practice writing a few triads. In treble clef, write down the following triads on staff paper: D major, A minor, G augmented, and B diminished. Pause the video and then I'll continue with the solution. So D major would have a D, an F sharp, and an A, because F sharp is a major third above D, and A is a perfect fifth above D. A minor would have A, C, and E, because C is a minor third above A, and E is a perfect fifth above A. G augmented has G, B, and D sharp. B is a major third above G, and then D sharp is an augmented fifth above G. Finally, B diminished has B, D, and F. This is the only diminished triad that's going to have no accidentals in it, because the fifth between B and F is a diminished fifth. So you've got minor third, diminished fifth all together.